the song. Culo Lethu is what he was named at birth, and of course a play on words. Culo the song coming through here with Busi Mhlongo. Where Baba is the name of this incredible dance classic. A coming together of two generations and two artists that really, I think, have far more in common than a lot of people realize. Talking to my team off air about one of my first encounters with Culo the song, who came through for a conversation on one of my previous old shows at another platform. And you can't help but notice just the spiritual aura that resonates and moves with him. You know, oftentimes we have guests that come and they tell us that they don't walk as one, but they come as 10,000, implying that they bring with them the dreams and the sacrifices and the hopes of their ancestors. And they carry into them the future as well, those very same dreams and acknowledgements for generations that have passed, for their family, for generations that are present, and for generations in the future. And he's definitely one of those people, very much spiritually grounded as a young man, very, very spiritually grounded, very centered in his ancestral roots. And so it's no surprise that he was one of the people that worked with Busi Mhlongo before she departed, because there is a lot in common between the two of them, from the spiritual, from the ancestral, their love for culture and tradition. And so, it's a beautiful collaboration. A little song coming through with Where Baba. I'm going to put him on the list for full access. I'm going to put him on the list. It gets difficult. Yes, I'm looking at my producers going, I'm going to put him on the list. And they know that it gets difficult when we have to deal with international DJs, because half the time he's not even in the country. He's always playing the circuit in Europe. And that's the other thing I think that I appreciate about Culo the song is, he's walked a parallel journey to the likes of Black Coffee, to the likes of Zakes Bantwini, and now the young Shimza, but he tends to be very much underground and very quiet, and is very much about the work more than anything else. Anyway, that is how we kick off the show this Friday afternoon. If you hear my voice is sounding a little bit funny, please do pardon me. I'm just sucking on a throat lozenge, trying to get over a little bit of a throat irritation. We've got lots coming up today for full access. Yesterday was the announcement, the much anticipated announcement of the National Arts Standard Bank Young Artist recipients for 2025. So we'll be catching up with Nyakalo Maleke in just a moment, who's the 2025 Standard Bank Young Artist for Visual Art. It's a very big deal in the world of art to be named a Standard Bank Young Artist recipient. It means an acknowledgement of the work that an artist has put in through the years, but also it means it's a recognizing of the passing of the baton to the next generation of future masters in the various disciplines. So we're going to have that conversation in a bit. We are also going to be touching base with a globally renowned Nigerian-born architect and designer who is named Designer of the Year for Decorex Joburg. So we'll get to find out from Charles about his journey. And then on the other side of 2 o'clock, they are back with a collaboration. MXO and Slick Angel are going to unpack the latest project for us. Greg Human also coming through, artistic director of the Market Theatre. You know, on Friday, we like to just ease the tempo a little bit. We've had a long week. It's been a week of hard-hitting news and ever-changing dynamics within geopolitics. So on Friday, we just like to take a little bit of breath and take things a little easy and focus more on arts and culture on the show. And today is no different at all. It's just gone 1:15 o'clock. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back on the other side.
When your business expands, it's time to look for the kind of space that'll offer it more than square meters on a plan. At Dube Tradeport, we're a place for high-value manufacturing, efficient air cargo logistics, and advanced future farming technology. Doesn't that sound like a place where your business can take shape? If so, move your business to Dube Tradeport and grow beyond potential.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
All right, as we start off the show today, we are catching up with just as recently as yesterday announced Young Artist of the Year in Visual Arts. Nyakalo Maleka joins us now. And Nyakalo's drawings are a journey in and of themselves. We'll find out some of the themes that Nyakalo explores in the work that is being showcased and produced. Firstly, how are you doing, and congratulations?
Well, I'm in good spirits.
You in good spirits?
Yes.
I mean, I would figure that you would be in good spirits. Now, you know how people use that saying on social media, and recently it's just been grating me with the finer side of the grater when they go, the cat's out the bag. And I think the cat's not that big for it to be out the bag. It's a boring cat. But but in the instance of receiving a Young Artist of the Year recognition, I feel like it is apt for us to say the cat is out the bag, because you have been holding this inside of you for a very long time.
That's true. And I'm not good with secrets, so I think I've done well. This is progress. To be able to keep that information for a while.
Yeah. Well, what does it feel like? And I ask every recipient for the last probably 6 years of focusing on arts and culture. I ask every recipient, what does it feel like for you when you get that recognition, when you get that call and that email to say, in fact, we have named you next year's Standard Bank Young Artist?
Yeah. It's incredibly surreal, and from the moment I found out, there was always this imposter syndrome that would come in and say, think that this is maybe a dream or a kind of prank, or, you have all these weird moments of like questioning, like, is this really happening to me? But I think since finding out and having that news be shared publicly, it means it's such a great honor and a great affirmation for the practice and the work that one has been doing, because I work very experimentally, quite conceptually, and to finally be recognized by such an established organization like Standard Bank is to, for me, highlight that they see that something is happening with the work, and they're offering one a platform to say more and to share it to a broader audience.
It's interesting because, and I'm not going to ask you how old you are now and how old you've been at the practice, but I remember speaking to Scully, Lady Scully, about 2 years ago when she shared the same category. And she had just turned 35 or was about to turn 35 when she got the call, and she said to me, Bridget, with all the work that I've done, and I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but she was like, with all the work that I've done and the contribution that I've had within visual arts, and the brand that I've managed to build and the market space I've carved for myself, this was the one thing that was eluding me, and it was the one thing that was very important as an artist. And she was like, I was ready to give up. I was ready to throw in the towel and say, well, this is my final year. If they don't name me this year, I'm ready to say, okay, quits on this industry and go somewhere else. Does it ever get to a point, and I know you said, it came as a bit of a shock. But
Yeah.
I can imagine that it's perhaps something that for some artists, it is in your wheelhouse, your bucket list of, I would love this kind of recognition from my peers and from the industry.
Yes, definitely. I think for anybody who's practicing in the arts industry, just to be recognized and to receive an award is always going to be a desire that one wishes to have happen to them. And for me, I think similar sentiments. It's not easy being an artist and to pursue this career full time, and to also like depend on it to support your livelihood, because what we do is our lives and we're sharing it with people. So I don't want to go off track, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't thinking that this would happen to me, because one was just comfortably working in the studio, and yeah, I'm just always, I think I'm just very speechless right now, and unable to articulate the thoughts properly. But yeah, it's yeah.
No, I get it. I absolutely get it. I'm gonna double back. I'm looking for, in my mind, I'm looking for a quote by Jay-Z, the rapper, that speaks to this part of our conversation. It's gonna come to me. About what the recognition symbolizes. It's going to come to me at some point. Talk to us a little bit about your work, because when one looks at your work, it's quite interesting, because it's quite it's quite experimental. It's quite texturally based from what I see. It's a different kind of working abstractly, collagely with your hands than just on canvas.
Yes. So as mentioned, I'm a conceptual artist, but my practice is grounded. Well, I work across drawing and printmaking and installation. And I think I became more interested in engaging the medium of drawing when I was pursuing my postgraduate in Switzerland. And at the time, I was interested in this idea of going back to basics, because in the trajectory of the practice, one had been making work, but it was not archivable. It was always ephemeral. And I wanted to go back to this idea of learning how to draw again. And that was really the point of departure, of thinking about how to be grounded in the practice and how to be grounded as a creative in terms of how one is thinking about their work and what they wanted to communicate in it. So part of that conversation really involved the materials and working. At the time when I was exploring this practice, I was interested in thinking about drawing also as a form of writing, and because and writing is also as a form of drawing, because, in some ways when you're journaling, you're drawing from a certain space, a very personal, vulnerable space. And I was thinking about these moments where mark making could also become a language that conceals the vulnerability, because at times, you don't want to overexpose. So that's how but that's how the journey of drawing really started for me, and as this practice of mapping these different emotions, experiences in very intuitive ways. But then, I also became interested in how drawing can be engaged with differently, in the sense that, it's not just something you can interact with on a two-dimensional surface, but how it can start to come out from the walls and interact with space. And I was starting to center the audience, journeying with this moment of like going back to basics in very simple and ordinary ways, familiar ways, familiar materials. So I try to find contrasting moments. So I stitch, but I also work with conventional materials like charcoal, watercolor, pastels, and I interchange those materials to kind of interact and see how they react to each other. For example, when I stitch and the needle makes these very gentle tears into the wax paper, I'm interested in how there are moments where, like, what is this? Like tape, just an ordinary tape, refuses to stick on wax. So those moments where the materials themselves start to become vulnerable and kind of shifts the focus away from my own emotions. So it's just this back and forth conversation that one is having with the medium and what it can do in that moment in space, and how people can then start to read into it and locate themselves in that process of reading and decoding.
I mean, a very interesting sort of perspective that you've taken with your work, and the themes, I think, that also come through in a lot of the production that you've put out there. You've tackled issues around migration, vulnerability, and as well as spatial memory, and I think people are always interested, at least I know I am always interested to know just how complex or how simplistic it becomes for an artist to be able to really sort of weave and work through issues like that and themes like that, because by their very nature they're very complex, and they speak to just the depth of the lived human experience in all of its sort of variant colors and forms.
True. Because I do not think that you can ever separate yourself from the work, because as soon as your hand, especially as an artist, is in contact with the material, it's already communicating. The material is already speaking and responding to the tension or the relaxation that is happening in the body, in the hands. And I think a lot of how my practice has been shaped really draws its inspiration from just being in the public space, constantly moving, and negotiating these different moments of home and what home looks like, and most of the time it's very temporary. So, but somehow through interacting and going back to very ordinary materials such as wax paper, and stitching, it reminds one of certain memories, like when my mother used to stitch sew curtains, and that moment in my childhood of just watching her explore her creativity. And the wax paper, when you use it, it's in our kitchens when we're baking, or when you use it to cover your sandwiches. So how I'm interested in, it's interesting how materials always can be a catalyst for that. I don't want to use the word trigger, but that prompts certain memories that we forget or have forgotten. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Nyakalo, congratulations to you once again, and we look forward to the exhibition that will present you as the Standard Bank Young Artist for Visual Arts for 2025. We appreciate the time with you. We're going to take a pause for the headline news, and then we come back and we catch up with another young artist recipient for theatre. Calvin Ratladi is going to be joining us.
Thank you, Bridget. On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Ondilambana, and a very good day. Government says it is establishing initiatives of community development as part of creating social capital to fight poverty and hunger. This transpired during the debate in Parliament aimed at addressing poverty and hunger. Members of the National Council of Provinces have added their voices to mounting criticism against the National Prosecuting Authority following the acquittal of Nigerian televangelist and two others. And the British government says it will give Ukraine an additional $450 million, which is more than 8 billion rand, or military support. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right. right. Well, still on the theme of young artists for 2025, we're now going to be catching up with a young artist for theatre. Calvin Ratlari joins us, who's an interdisciplinary artist. And his vision is unapologetically expansive. Just like every other recipient of this prestigious recognition in the various categories. He is a SAFTA winning artist, and under his belt, he's also got quite a few Ovation Awards from the National Arts Festival. And his work is showcased in festivals in the country and abroad, including the likes of Germany. Congratulations to you, Calvin. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much, Bridget. I am doing very well. And
You,
how are you doing?
I'm great. Are you floating on cloud nine, or you just like, I've been expecting this?
uh, let's just say, as I was listening to the radio and you were speaking about a bucket list,
Yeah.
I was like, that's what this award is to me at this moment.
A very diamond encrusted bucket list, nonetheless. I was saying to Unyakalo that this moment calls on me to remember a Jay-Z, the music mogul, quote.
Yes,
And he said, upon receiving a lifetime award of sorts, he said that we wanted to be recognized not because we needed it, but because we've actually earned it. And I think that's what these awards embody, is an artist's full journey, and everything that they've had to overcome at every step in order for them to earn the recognition by their peers, because it literally is a passing on of the baton to the next generation of masters.
no, definitely, without a doubt.
Yeah. So for you, as the next generation of master, does it present a particular, or rather, I should say, what does it present for the present moving into the future? Because on one hand, it could create a sense of pressure, but on the other
Yes.
hand, it could also give one a sense of freedom to say, well, I guess my voice has been cemented and is credible enough for
Yes.
me that I can do whatever.
Bridget, what I can say is winning the Standard Bank Young Artist for Theatre is not just a personal achievement. It's a loud reminder that our stories, our languages, our struggles, our visions, and our existence in general belongs at the center of humanity. And this award for me is it's a call to dismantle the inherited silences that we keep having, but also is to come into a space where we insist on theater being urgent, uncomfortable, and unapologetic as 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 looking into the history also of how theater has been in this country, but also what it has done to
Mm.
also expose certain injustices to the public.
And a very important discipline within art is theatre, like you say. When you look at the history of South African theatre in particular,
Yes.
on this continent, it's played a very important role in agitating, but also archiving sometimes a very gruesome history.
Yes, definitely. A lot of what theatre has done in this country, it has also been at the forefront of the dismantling of systems like apartheid. The world got to know about how South Africa has been during apartheid because of artists who were really going out to really tell stories in spaces like Europe and so on. So for me, theater is, or being an artist, it's another medium that it's on another realm, and we can keep on going and trying to write papers, but it's quite a very terrestrial place to be in.
Recently, we lost, theatre's great in the country, Ethel Fugard, whose work was seminal. Seminal in dismantling the structures that you talk about, seminal in agitating, the regime of the time. And I wonder, the meaning for you as a practitioner, of a beacon like Ethel Fugard, and the work that he presented and the work that he leaves behind. Do you hold a sense of responsibility as well to add your bricks onto legacies such as that?
The legacy of Ethel Fugard is something very much great, and it can't be taken away. It exists in the archive of theater making, but also in academic spaces, and which is great, and I love it. And we learn a lot, and we draw a lot of inspiration from makers or theater makers like Ethel Fugard. But for me, what it means is it's not just any other meaning that comes into life. It's just it's understanding that this award also is not a destination. It's a fuel. It's a fuel to strive to create theater that challenges, that heals, that transforms, but at the same time that reclaims who we are as people, humanity, and understanding also the South African status quo, but Africa and the world in general.
I want us to take a quick break, Calvin, and then we'll come back on the other side and we'll continue our conversation with Calvin Ratadi, who is the Young Artist for Theatre recipient for 2025.
Begin with Buco, and you could hit the road with a brand new trailer. We're giving away 94 trailers nationwide, fully loaded with home building and maintenance supplies to fuel your next project, road trip, or business venture. Spend 1,000 Rand or more in store at Buco. Fill in your entry form and drop it in our competition box. It could be you. Shop, enter, and win with Buco. T's and C's online.
Buco.
The Bavarians want to display quality play to emphasize why they are called FC Hollywood. But BVB is courageous to cement a decent spot in the top half.
It's all or nothing. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be.
Catch one of the world's greatest football derbies.
The Klassiker.
FC Bayern München versus Borussia Dortmund. This Saturday, 12 April at 6:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Weekend View with Bongiwe Zwane from 6 to 7 a.m.
Has the Democratic Alliance become an unwelcome GNU guest? That is the subject of our Sunday morning discussion.
Tabira in Sukukune.
I totally disagree with what Professor Mayor say and Professor Gumede say, to say that the minister has performed well.
And some are saying that maybe you need more money to get a properly skilled prosecutor. Is that where the problem is? And is the NDPP, in your view, someone that can still continue to run this institution?
One, money cannot be the problem where there are challenges that can be resolved without money. There are about 6 senior positions in the NPA that are not filled, and those positions are funded. There is money for those.
Let us be frank and honest about the NPA. The NPA has lost its credibility on many fronts.
Hashtag SAFM Weekend View. Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
So we're in a celebratory mood this morning as we celebrate and Halalisa the 2025 class for the Young Artist of the Year. And of course, the categories go on to include poetry as well as music, jazz, dance. And we've been in conversation with Nyakalo, who is the Young Artist for Visual Arts, and now Calvin Ratadi, who is the Young Artist for Theatre. Calvin, does theatre still have a pivotal role to play in the discourse of the country?
Oh, definitely. Theatre is a medium that expresses not only not only expresses entertainment. It's a medium that shapes us and also gives us an idea of where we are culturally, politically, and socially as people. And for me, I feel losing something like theater or letting something like theater die is like not having a mirror to reflect on self, on ourselves.
Now, I obviously, we've met before. I've hung out on Michelle's Jet Set Breakfast, and I had the privilege of being in conversation with you. And this is also something that I think a lot of our listeners may or may not be aware of as we speak to Calvin. That Calvin, you also represent oftentimes a marginalized and discriminated against side of our population, because you are differently abled as a theater practitioner. I didn't want to lead with it because that is not the sum all and be all of your identity, but also important to understand the barriers that you yourself personally as a practitioner in the space have had to break, and the journey that you've had to walk may be different and was likely different for most theater practitioners.
Yes. No, it's been a journey that has been different and very hard. It's very tricky to come into a space or industry that you literally become almost the only example that comes into you. People like you who are marginalized can actually exist in such a mainstream industry that's also very much about looks. Looks are a big thing in the entertainment industry, and coming in to disrupt, but also not only disrupt, but also to exist in such a way that you are also very much professional and showing much capability without coming in as this person who just requires a pity party, but also coming in to take over and find yourself, seeing yourself before you are seen. And henceforth, this award for me, Standard Bank Young Artist, says it reaffirms having seen myself, now being seen by the industry colleagues, but at the same time, it means what is it that is going to happen now that you are seeing yourself, which you've been doing, but now everyone is seeing you, and the extra spotlight. How are you going to work with that?
Absolutely. Oprah once said that we all just want to be seen and heard. It's the human condition. So whoever you are, however abled you are, that's all anybody wants really, is to be seen and be heard. And you talk about, the fact that the industry is also driven in part by looks, but also capability. And I think
Yes.
more so even in theater would be that element of capability. But for you, the senses I've got from conversations was that was in part somehow a driving force. The I will show that I am differently capable, but capable I am.
Yes, yes. There's a term in Europe that they actually use, and differently abled mostly, and which is a term I find it quite interesting in comparison to the terms that we use in Africa general.
Yeah.
And I say this because of I realize that also as Africans we have a very violent history around people living with disabilities, and for me it has always been also being in such a public platform is also to come into to disrupt that thinking that certain bodies carry certain supernatural powers, and by inflicting a sense of violence onto them, you are going to gain some magical powers for you to thrive in whatever that you actually thinking. And for me, uh, my body has been that mediator around who I am, how I understand myself, and also how I understand people in general in relation to the notion or idea of disability.
Just by way of a final question, we always take this little show on the road to Makanda for the National Arts Festival, and I wonder, obviously, that work is well into preparation now. What perhaps you can share about the upcoming presentation at the Arts Festival?
Yeah. It's a big one. It's a big one. It's surely the spotlight. It's on the main stages, which is the Standard Bank Young Artists mostly. But this year, I'm really tapping into something quite monumental, a very big figure. If I have to, I'm just gonna disclose it because, yeah. So I'm tapping into telling a story around Robert Mugabe, which is a story that we haven't told in this continent, in mainstream theater, and I'm interested in us looking into that figure, but also because of there's been a lot of global leadership shift in the past few months and even years, and we've been looking into how all of a sudden there's conversations around Trump, Cyril Ramaphosa, and for me is looking into what also it means as a person to be in such a leadership position. So we are going to try to find to bring Robert Mugabe into life.
Very intriguing indeed. So I will make sure that I am on time for for that production at the National Arts Fair, so that I am not left outside behind closed doors, because I want to see it for myself. Calvin Ratladi, thank you so much for the time this afternoon, and congratulations once again, Calvin being named the Young Artist for Theatre. It's gone 10 to 2 o'clock. We're going to take a quick pause, and then we come back and we catch up with another creative.
These are the weekend shows on SAFM. Music of Africa with Shayla Ndikumana. The Jet Set Breakfast with Michelle Constant. Seasons with Khomoto KG Mweketsi. The soundtrack of your life with Ernest Pillay. Weekend Soundowner Classics with Kutlwano Masote. Spotlight with Zai Khan. The Weekend with John Gerika. Rhythm of Africa with Shayla Ndikumana. This is SAFM. Ashraf Gada on SAFM.
All right, give us the context. What actually happened?
So what the lady actually did was to submit the same claim twice. In Motherwell, indicating that she was involved in a car accident, and then, also submitted the same claim, indicating that she was a pedestrian and that she was hit by a car. And it was picked up when she submitted for the second time that this was the same person. And it was found out when she indicated in her claim that she couldn't work, and so claimed, monies that she would have lost.
But good news in terms of an actual conviction as well. Macintosh Polela, spokesperson for the Road Accident Fund.
The National Pulse, 3 to 6 p.m. Missed it? Find the podcast at safm.co.za. SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365. Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
When all else fails, come to me. We are trying to connect with our next guest, but he's in Zurich, from what I understand. He's based out in Zurich, and so it's proving a little difficult for us to try and find him at the moment, but we will endeavor to keep trying, because we do want to touch base with Charles Oluwale Job, who is this year's he holds this year's architect and designer title for Decorex Joburg. So we wanted to find out more about just his life and his work and his practice and discipline, because he's got quite an interesting life story, in fact. Obviously, with his journey beginning in Lagos, and then his architectural practice later taking him to London and Paris, and now eventually finding himself in Europe. So hopefully that international connection will not let us down, and we'll be able to get a hold of him, even if it's in the second hour of the show, just so we can talk his work and also just unpack the themes around sustainability and AI and how that factors in to some of his practice, as well as just into the broader design landscape moving into the future. But we think maybe we should optimize this time. Situkekeleza a little bit. It's a Friday, so we can take some liberties. Situkekeleza a little bit because it's a Friday, and play a song while hopefully we connect with our guest and see what we can do come the second hour of the show.
Sulala, 360music Time and time again, demanding the kubeka. Anifuna munye ngaphandle kwakho. Kodwa ngiyahluleka when uyabaleka. You don't love me like I love you, baby, baby. Nafuna wena when ufuna munye. Stand aside, bumble on. Why you dance so? Turn on dance so. Ndifuna uhlala ndingowakho. Oh, stand aside, bumble on. Why you dance so? Turn on dance so. Ndifuna uhlala ndingowakho. Buyela kumstando. Nhliziyo yami ifuna wena. Unoba awungithandi ngizokuthanda. Kuze kuyovalwa wena laviyo. Why you making me so crazy? Uyaphambanisa, hlala undiphazamisa, dlala ngenhliziyo yami. Tell me what I gotta do. Phila phandle kwakho anything you do. Why you making me so crazy? Uyaphambanisa, hlala undiphazamisa, dlala ngenhliziyo yami. Tell me what I gotta do to be with you. Buyela kumstando. Nhliziyo yami ifuna wena. Unoba awungithandi ngizokuthanda. Kuze kuyovalwa wena
Top stories at 2. Government to create social capital to fight poverty and hunger, and Ukraine to receive $580 million of UK-led military support. For SAFM News, I am Ondalambana, and a very good day. Government says it is establishing initiatives of community development as part of creating social capital to fight poverty and hunger. This transpired during the debate in Parliament aimed at addressing poverty and hunger. The theme for the debate was expanding the effectiveness of the measures that are geared towards tackling the enduring legacy of poverty and hunger. Social Development Minister Nokuzola Tolashe told members of the National Council of Provinces that the issue of poverty in the country is still a challenge.
The aim, Honourable Chair, is to support poor individuals and households to graduate out of poverty and to break the cycle of household intergeneration poverty. So community development initiative will assist communities to build social capital through social connection and networks based on the principle of mutual trust, reciprocity, and norms for action. Our department provides developmental social welfare services that aim at reducing poverty, vulnerability, hunger, and the impact of AIDS and HIV.
Members of the National Council of Provinces have added their voices to mounting criticism against the National Prosecuting Authority following the acquittal of Nigerian televangelist and 2 others. Last week, the High Court in Gqeberha in the Eastern Cape cleared them of all 32 charges, including rape, sexual assault, human trafficking and racketeering. NCOP provincial delegate from the EFF, Asanda Machabeni, has lashed out at the NPA, saying they bungled investigations.
Honorable Chairperson, before I start my debate, I just want to share my disappointment concerning the case of Omotoso that was held in Gqeberha. It means we are still using the Dutch laws, which were written by whites. That is why it is like that. What happened to this case is dividing the black people. This thing of Omotoso never affects white people. It only affects black people. NPA has paid dismally even to question Omotoso. Honorable Chair, Eliliti, black child, you are on your own.
One of the accused in the Jocelyn Smith disappearance case has told the Western Cape High Court sitting in Saldanha Bay that he was forced to confess that he took the little girl to a sangoma. Jacqueline Police has testified that the man who assaulted him were presumed to have been police officers. He says they told him to say that Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, had instructed him to take the child to a sangoma who would give him 20,000 rand. A trial within a trial is underway to determine the admissibility of the confession statements of Apollos and co-accused Stavino van Rijn. They allege they were tortured when their confessions were obtained. Apollos was under cross-examination, says he told the man where the sangoma lived.
They told me that. Now you are going to Kelly. Then you must tell Kelly that Kelly sent you to take the child to Makalima. And Makalima is going to give 20,000 rand. I did.
A 58-year-old teacher who allegedly raped a 13-year-old girl at a primary school in Makotopong outside Polokwane in Limpopo believes DNA results will clear him of the charges. The teacher, who SABC News cannot name to protect the identity of the minor, faces a charge of rape and another of child sexual grooming. He is applying for bail in the Mankweng Magistrates Court. The man allegedly raped the grade 7 learner on several occasions between July 2024 and last month when he was caught and reported to police. The man's lawyer, Advocate Michael Kumalo, read out his client's affidavit in court.
I acknowledge that in this bail proceedings, the court is concerned with the issue of bail and not with the merits of the case. Hence, the court will not make a finding on whether or not I am guilty. However, I wish to bring the following to the attention of the court. I did not commit the offences as alleged in the charge sheet, and I believe that the DNA results will absolve me from this case. These allegations are informed by the bad blood that exists between my family as a whole and the principal at the school, where I have just resigned from.
The British government says it will give Ukraine an additional $450 million, which is more than 8 billion rand, or military support. The UK and Germany hosted the latest meeting of the Ukraine Defence Contact Group in Brussels. The group includes NATO and other nations supporting Ukraine. The BBC's Jonathan Beale has the details.
The British Defence Secretary John Healey said plans to send a reassurance force were well developed and substantial. But he still gave no details of which countries were willing to commit boots on the ground or how many troops would be needed. Some nations attending were still unclear about what it might involve. This is also about sending signals, not least to Washington, that European countries are willing to continue their support for Ukraine while President Trump tries to broker a ceasefire.
Recapping the top story, government says it is establishing initiatives of community development as part of creating social capital to fight poverty and hunger. This transpired during the debate in Parliament aimed at addressing poverty and hunger. I am Ondilambana for SFM News Headlines at 2:30.
Switch to stream with SABC Plus. No subscription fees. Stream anywhere, anytime. Zero subscription fees. Download SABC Plus on Android or iOS and watch the Betway Premier Soccer League, the English Premier League, and the Bundesliga live. You can also catch up with Uzalo, Skim Sam, Generations on demand and listen to your favorite radio stations live. Ukhozi, Umhlobo Wenene, Radio 2000 and 5FM, all for free. Switch to stream with SABC Plus now. No subscription fees. Stream anywhere, anytime with SABC Plus.
Last season's finalists, Basandawana, want to reach another final, but Amakosi believe their fans deserve a special ticket to the final.
This is the Nedbank Cup semi-final contest. Kiona.
Catch Mamelodi Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 13 April, live streaming on SABC Plus and SABC One at 5:30 p.m. Then on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
All right, give us the context. What actually happened?
So what the lady actually did was to submit the same claim twice in Motherwell, indicating that she was involved in a car accident, and then, also submitted the same claim, indicating that she was a pedestrian and that she was hit by a car. And it was picked up when she submitted for the second time that this was the same person. And it was found out when she indicated in her claim that she couldn't work, and so claimed, monies that she would have lost.
But good news in terms of an actual conviction as well. Macintosh Polela, spokesperson for the Road Accident Fund.
The National Pulse, 3 to 6 p.m. Missed it? Find the podcast at safm.co.za.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.6 FM in Mthatha.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
When I'm giving up, she give me hope. Stress out, she is my dope. She's my remedy, emergency, urgency. She's my nightness, makes all the infections defreeze. Princess, you my ghetto lioness. World definition of finesse. Shoulder to crayon, empty cartoon pictures. She makes them colorful, yes. With my baby's crayons. A good lover, a cool sister. She's a good mother. She's so gangster, she makes it tougher. Sometimes she makes it harder. Rougher, macho, like a favorite wine. From jungle, she fixed me like a puzzle. Riddle empty spaces. She replaced the pieces. Like Salif Johnson. She's a revolution, yeah. Revolution, yeah.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
All right, so I don't know what's happening, but something has definitely gotten into our network connections at the moment. We're struggling to actually connect with a lot of our guests that were supposed to come through in the second hour of the show. So we were supposed to be in conversation with MXO and Slick Angel now. You know the duo, they're an award-winning duo, and they're back. So that was their new song, Nomasundu. And they're back with, well, no, that was the old song rather, and they're coming back with a new track. And we wanted to catch up with them today and just find out a little bit about the new project and what we can anticipate from them coming back. And also, I'm not quite sure if they were ever separated as a duo. They just decided to focus on different things at different times. But the struggle is that we've got gremlins in our communications at the moment. You know, we're in our interim studio, so from time to time there's some technicalities that get in the way of being able to bring out a seamless broadcast. But we're going to keep trying those phone lines. And even with our guest, Charles Oluwolu Job, we were struggling to hear him from our side of the world. So hopefully we managed to just shake off whatever's gotten into our system and we get ourselves back on track. In the meantime, we've got MXO? Okay, so we've got MXO on the line. How you doing? Are you good?
Hey, greetings. How you doing?
I'm good, and you?
Oh, man, all good.
All good. All right, so let's talk about it. Firstly, you know, I'm always reluctant to say people have not worked together or went their separate ways when we knew them as folks who collaborated, because sometimes people are actually doing other things together in the background and we're just not aware of it. So give us, you know, update us. What's been going on between yourself and Slick Angel, you know, over the years, and sort of what's brought you back to make up Route 2000?
Oh, yes. It's a special project of our brotherhood, 25 years. I met Slick around the Yeovil streets around year 2000. And we formed this duo called Route 2000. Remember, year 2000, the Y2K, everybody thought the world is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
The aliens will come and adopt us. And we were like, if the world is ending, let's create something that is, you know, that will be part of the beginning for us whilst everything is ending. So, yeah, we formed this duo called Route 2000. And we've been, you know, and what makes it a milestone, because we've never released an album before. This is our first album.
Oh.
Called Monday Blues. A special project that brings together the two different energies. You know, all about exploring our reality of life as artists, the struggles we go through, and the resilience, it takes to keep going. So you know that feeling. You know that feeling.
Yeah.
You feel on the Monday blues. That weight, that push, that keeps you moving when the world feels heavy.
Yeah.
So this project is about that experience, but expressed through music that heals and uplifts us.
So this is very interesting. I mean, you'll decide to get together, recognizing the energies that flow together in the year 2000, but never released a full project to get together. Why? Why has the time never been right, or what came in the way of y'all releasing a full project together back then or over the years?
I think we've been waiting for the right time. We were not ready really then. And also, we will see lots of different groups. They will not stay together, and we're like, hey man, let's start exploring solos first. And that's when I started, Peace of Mind, and Slick dropped his solo. So we dropped our solo albums before the group because we wanted to explore individually first, and we thought, okay, this is the right time. 4 years back, we did Nomatsundu. That was our reunion.
Okay.
An EP, yeah. So this one really is the first album, yeah. So yeah, I guess we're waiting for the right time, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about working together, because you sort of did it in reverse. You recognized that there was something in each other that could be magic, but you put it on pause to do your own thing and establish your own sort of fan base, your own voices in music. Then you do an EP together 4 years ago, and now obviously this full album coming out. But talk to me about now working together, because there's never been a moment earlier where you were collaborators in the studio on a full project. Everybody had autonomy on their own journey, their own project along the way. What is that energy like when you now have to actually come together for the purpose of a full project?
It's a great one. I mean, always been pushing boundaries, both as individuals in creating music, with substance. And I guess together we've built something that doesn't just sound good, but also feels good.
Yeah.
Right? The blues, the soul, the jazz, with all those things that make music powerful. So it's a reminder that even when times are tough, the music carries us through.
Let's take a quick pause here, MXO, and then we'll come back on the other side. It's just gone 20 past 2 o'clock on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM.
TS Galaxy Queens have a special game plan to display a stellar performance to collect maximum points in their own backyard. However, Royal AM want to demonstrate their royalty with a win away from home. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Don't miss out on TS Galaxy Queens versus Royal AM Ladies the Saturday 12th April at 2:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Hi, I'm Khomotso KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons right here on SAFM, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide with me, KG Mweketi.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Hey, by the way, do you stream the show? You know, we live stream the show via our social media platforms. So on X, formerly known as Twitter, it's such a struggle to call Twitter X for so many people. So we live stream the show on X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as on YouTube and our social media pages. At SAFM is our handle, is where you can find us. If you want to get a feeler for just the studio environment, that's where you can go and have a look-see. We're in conversation with MXO, who's an award-winning musician, and we're talking around this new project that they've got with his friend and collaborator Slick Angel, who's also a renowned South African musician needing no introduction. And the two of them have come together after incredible successful solo careers to bring us what they are calling Monday Blues. It's their first album. And if you're just joining us now, I was left in shock in the first part of our conversation that it is their first full album together, because it almost seems as though they've been doing work together for the longest time. What is that process like, MXO? What is the process like of of creating music for you? You talk about the time was right and for you guys to come together to do this. What are the elements that needed to be in place, and both in studio for the creative process, but also just, I guess, for you mentally and spiritually to be able to get back to making music?
Oh yeah, I mean, I guess it's a feeling, you know. It's just an inspiration of when we sit together, we come with different themes of what we need to write about, and what we focus also is more social commentary, love, our experiences, telling our stories, and so the process, and also it's the right time for us. I mean, we already knew that we're making an album, so it becomes a natural instinct and energy, because Sesilolokile already, from our solos, we have great experiences in making, so it becomes like a simple one, a God-given, and a smooth flow. Yeah, I mean, Slick is a legend in his own right, and it becomes a big influence and raw energy and expressive, and he keeps me when it comes to expression with that song, because when you hear some solo, I'm more experimental, right? I'm more on the funky, jazzy, and Slick is more on the traditional. So with this album, we try to meet each other on the halfway.
Yeah.
And also the big team that we're working with. This album is signed by a company from California called Olu 8. We become like a team musketeers when we're together. And those global outlook and Pan-African ideas of putting a sound that will take someone who's in the US or in Europe and kind of remind them of home.
Yeah. Before we wrap the interview, I also want to find out a little bit about the song that we're going to play out with Inhliziyo. What can you tell us around that?
Oh, Inhliziyo is it's a song about love, the praise of woman, omama bethu, nabantu bethu. So ingoma yothando, ingoma esikhumbuzayo ba all need to switch from the noise and focus on building, and those people care so very much. It's a song for the migrants.
Yeah.
And a reminder of love is really important.
Okay. It's been a pleasure catching up with you this afternoon. That was MXO, of course, coming through right there. They've got that new project, Monday Blues. We're going to hear a little bit of something from it with Ntlizio that's going to play us into the headline news with Ondelambana standing by. And then, of course, on the other side of that, we've got our Children's Friday programming.
Ntlizio yami ngikuduze izolo lokhu sithi uyangithanda sengizwa ngomakhelwane udaba yo soloko ngaphelwa ngumsebenzi soloko kwaphela nemali zami bo sahamba imoto zahambela le bahamba bangane babhekela le sahamba isithunzi sajikela le ngasalwa ndeda kwashelelele hamba hlezi ubuye hamba hlezi ubuye hamba hlezi ubuye hamba hlezi ubuye wangishuka wangilahlela le wangishuka wangiqhayela le wangishuka wandekela le wangishuka sengiphelele le zola nhliziyo yami xola nhliziyo yami zola nhliziyo yami xola nhliziyo yami.
Kanti manje ntini makunje mama sakuseni I can eat, I can sleep, I can breathe in makunje ndibuka ngabantu high blood pressure makunje
zola nhliziyo yami xola nhliziyo yami zola nhliziyo yami xola nhliziyo yami zola nhliziyo yami.
Thank you, Bridget. In the news headlines, government says it is establishing initiatives of community development as part of creating social capital to fight poverty and hunger. This transpired during the debate in Parliament aimed at addressing poverty and hunger. Analysts have warned that the current rand weakness could cancel out potential fuel price cuts in May. According to unaudited mid-month fuel price data from the Central Energy Fund, both grades of petrol could decrease by between 9 and 13.5 cents. And the head of the UN Refugee Agency has appealed to the United States and other countries to honor their commitments to help people displaced by the civil war in Sudan. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.3 FM in Uppington.
Welcome to Nali Bali. Have you ever felt sad because someone made fun of you? Or have you seen a friend being teased for something they couldn't change? Words can be powerful. They can make someone feel happy or they can hurt. That's why it's important to be kind and respect each other, no matter what we wear or where we come from. Teasing others is never okay because it can make people feel sad, lonely, or feel like they don't belong. No one likes to be laughed at or made to feel small. We don't all have the same clothes, toys, or lunch at school because our families are different. But what truly matters is how we treat each other with kindness, respect, and friendship. Today's story is called Auntie Dolly's Dresses, written by Fatima Israel. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and... Auntie Dolly could make the most beautiful dresses. Each stitch seemed to carry a touch of magic, turning ordinary fabric into flowing gowns that shimmered like water. Auntie Dolly's dresses were in high demand, and all the ladies from Wentworth to Bluff saved their money to buy one of her creations for special occasions. But here's the thing. No one knew that Auntie Dolly made these dresses. They were sold at Jamila's boutique under their fine fashion label. Ever since her husband had died, Auntie Dolly had struggled to keep her only child Elena fed, sheltered, and in school. Jamila had been kind enough to give Auntie Dolly a seamstress job, but she was greedy and wanted to sell the dresses at a high price. She did not want her customers to know that the dresses were made locally, so Jamila and Auntie Dolly kept it a secret, but only Elena knew the truth.
Hey girls, have you already decided on what to wear to the Madrid ball?
Asked Lucille, one of Elena's classmates.
My dad promised me that I can have a fine fashion dress if my September exam marks are good.
Lucille smacked at her friends, enjoying the look of jealousy on their faces.
Ugh, those dresses are for amas.
Sneered Nobile nastily.
Since when?
Answered Lucille, her voice shaking with anger.
You're just jealous. Fine fashion is an overseas high fashion label. Isn't that right, Elena?
Lucille turned to Elena, hoping she would take her side. Elena said nothing. She pictured her mother sewing dresses after gorgeous dresses in a small room in Wentworth and smiled. Lucille saw Elena smile and thought she was smirking at her.
Oh, wait. I forgot.
Lucille said in a sharp tone.
You probably can't afford to buy a dress, can you? And there's pip stores that selling matric ball dresses. Am I
right? The girls around Lucille laughed loudly. Elena's face flushed, but she held her head high.
I'm sure whatever I wear will be just fine.
Elena said quietly, though inside she wanted to shout out that it was her mother behind the glamorous fine fashion designs. As the matric ball date drew closer, Elena became more and more anxious.
I can't possibly ask my mom for money for an expensive dress and just for one night. And their shoes too. Oh my word. I'm in a disaster.
She thought,
I suppose I'll just not go to the dance.
Elena sat in her room feeling sad. Her mother found her there, gazing out of the window at the stars.
Elena?
Her mother, Auntie Dolly, said softly.
I can see something is bothering you. What is it?
Elena hesitated and then said,
It's just, the girls at school. They make fun of me because I don't have smart clothes. They tease me because we're poor. And at the same time, Lucille brags about her fine fashion matric ball dress from overseas. But they don't know. They don't know that it's you who makes those dresses. My mother makes those dresses.
Auntie Dolly wrapped her arms around Elena.
Oh, my dear, I'm so sorry. I've got some leftover material, some lace and sequins. Would you like me to make a matric ball dress just for you?
Elena's eyes widen.
But wouldn't they give away your secret?
Her mother nodded.
Yes, it might. But I don't think you should have to sacrifice a once-in-a-lifetime event just to keep Jamila's and my secret. Surely I can use my gift to make my daughter happy. And I'm truly proud of my work, just as I am proud of you.
Over the next few nights, Auntie Dolly worked tirelessly stitching together a dress unlike any she had made before. The material was deep blue, the color of the evening sky just before the stars came out. Delicate silver thread and silver sequins were woven through it like constellations. Even Elena tried it on. She felt like she was wearing the night sky itself. On the evening of the matric ball, many parents, teachers and locals watched as the matriculants enter the community hall that had been decorated for the occasion. Lucille strutted around in her new dress, boasting about how it was made by an overseas high-fashion label. But when Elena walked up the pathway in her mother's creation, the entire crowd fell silent. Elena's dress shimmered in the evening light. Whispers spread through the crowd.
Who made that dress?
They asked. Lucille's smile faltered.
That is just not possible. How did she get a dress like that?
At that moment, Auntie Dolly stepped towards Lucille, her head held high.
I made it,
she said simply, her voice clear and calm.
I've been the seamstress behind all the dresses you've admired.
Lucille's face turned red with embarrassment. Even though she wanted to reject what Auntie Dolly had said, somehow she knew that it was true. Lucille's pride was hurt, but eventually she decided to enjoy the matric ball anyway.
It's still a one-of-a-kind, expensive and beautiful dress. Who cares who made it?
She said to herself, stepping onto the dance floor. Lucille never teased Elena again, and soon the final exams completely overshadowed everything. Once Elena left home to study in Cape Town, Auntie Dolly could finally save up some money to start her own small business. And dressed by Stunning Dress, she built her own fashion empire in the heart of Wentworth. And so we come to the end of another Nali Bali story time. Today's story was called Auntie Dolly's Dresses, written by Fatima Israel. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit the Nali Bali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages, as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nali Bali Reading for Enjoyment supplement with great children's stories and activities, available in newspapers. Nali Bali, it starts with a story.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
The Bavarians want to display quality play to emphasize why they are called FC Hollywood. But BVB is courageous to cement a decent spot in the top half.
It's all or nothing. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be.
Catch one of the world's greatest football derbies.
The Klassiker.
FC Bayern München versus Borussia Dortmund. This Saturday, 12 April at 6:30 p.m. Streaming live on SABC Plus and SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
I'm Michelle Constant. Join the JSB crew and I every Saturday and Sunday morning between 7 and 10 a.m. We promise to keep you informed and entertained with innovation, culture, cars, travel, life learnings, environment, and of course, your big fat juicy. Small stories, big ideas, massive inspiration. The Jet Set Breakfast on SAFM.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
All right, give us the context. What actually happened?
So what the lady actually did was to submit the same claim twice in Motherwell, indicating that she was involved in a car accident, and then, also submitted the same claim, indicating that she was a pedestrian and that she was hit by a car. And it was picked up when she submitted for the second time that this was the same person. And it was found out when she indicated in her claim that she couldn't work, and so claimed, monies that she would have lost.
But good news in terms of an actual conviction as well. Macintosh Polela, spokesperson for the Road Accident Fund.
The National Pulse, 3 to 6 p.m. Missed it? Find the podcast at safm.co.za. Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, we thought we would catch up with the artistic director for the Market Theatre Foundation, Greg Holman, and get a sense for what is unfolding, what can be anticipated for the 2025 program as they build up to their 50th anniversary, which is coming up next year, 2026. How are you doing this afternoon, Greg?
I'm doing very well, Bridget. It's great to be with you and your listeners.
Fabulous. I mean, it's quite the marker, the milestone, the 50th anniversary, which is coming up next year. And of course, any self-respecting institution would already start rolling out the program in anticipation of that big anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're really excited and feel quite privileged to be holding the 50th year of the Market Theatre Foundation next year. And as many listeners will know, our relationship to what arts and culture and theatre and performance and visual art, particularly photography, has done across the country is deeply intertwined with our national history as well. So we opened, the theatre opened in 1976, just days after June 16th, 1976. So that sort of relationship to the national conversation and the politics of our country and what the Market Theatre stands for now 49 years, 50 years next year is very much part of what we're reflecting on, and that we're wanting to really acknowledge that, but also most importantly position what we're currently doing and what we plan to be doing going forward, taking on board the legacy of the last 50 years.
Yeah. Now, you've just given me an interesting tidbit of history, because I was not aware, and because I didn't look at the corresponding dates, that the theatre literally opened up, the space opened up just a few days after 1976. So give us some of that.
Yeah.
Paint us a picture of what was transpiring that year as a build up to that, and sort of how the political landscape also may or may not have played a factor at the time with the anticipation of the space.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think as we know from history, the June 16th uprising that started in Soweto with the youth and then sort of quickly caught fire across the country was a moment that was sort of not known of and hidden at the time, and it sort of arrived very quickly and very suddenly. And so no one could have anticipated at the Market Theatre, as they were preparing to open the space that had been an Indian fruit market prior to it becoming a theatre, that was going through sort of a series of changes, and spaces were being transformed from the historic building into theatres, that in the same week the June 16th uprising would occur. So the uprising happened on June 16th, and we opened, I think, 3 or 4 days later. So it was within the same week, and I think it really bound the history of the country to the Market Theatre. And I think it has really informed the kind of work that then became, seminal not only for the Market Theatre, but for the identity of South African theatre, the protest work that was so present in the 80s that became internationally known, the work of John Carney and Winston and Shauna, with Ethel Fugard involved, at times, Serafina, Kingdom Klope's work, and how that sort of progressed us to the point that we're currently at. So my focus as the artistic director over the last 2 years since I've been in the job has really been to put the spotlight on the new South African stories that we need to tell, and acknowledge the social environment and the political environment we're in, but really tell the South African story as our starting point. And from that point, we can tell the African story and the story beyond to the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Just looking at the time, we're going to go into a quick break in a moment, but maybe we can sneak in one question. And you talk about obviously positioning the theatre in its current form and current contribution. And we've had a touch base earlier on upon your being appointed the artistic director. But just to reiterate what that looks like, in a theatre space, in a continuously evolving political environment in the country, and also conversations that continue to shape and evolve our society.
Yeah, and what's important to mention is that, as much as we started as the theatre space, we quickly evolved into what's become known as the foundation, which includes the photo workshop, the lab, where we train students for it in a 2-year program, the photo workshop, which started largely as a documentary photo space, and then the Windybrow Art Centre, which we absorbed a few years ago in the middle of Hillbrow. So the combination of those 4 spaces, including the theatre, really help us tell the story of South Africa in a pronged way, as well as prepare artists for the act of telling their story. So it's grown and morphed into this, essentially what we are now, which is an arts center more than just the theatre building and the historic space that many people know.
Yeah. Greg, let's take a quick pause and then we'll come back on the other side of this.
Last season's finalists, Basandawana, want to reach another final, but Amakosi believe their fans deserve a special ticket to the final.
This is the Nedbank Cup semi-final contest. Yona.
Catch Mamelodi Sundowns versus Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 13 April, live streaming on SABC Plus and SABC One at 5:30 p.m. Then on SABC radio stations at 6 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
April is Freedom Month, a month to reflect, celebrate, and move forward. SAFM is bringing you powerful stories, insightful debates, and voices that shape our nation. Stay tuned to SAFM, where freedom, history, and the future meet. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Living your best life on the Full Circle.
We are in conversation with Greg Holman, who is the artistic director for the Market Theatre Foundation, comprising of the various entities, the lab, the workshop, Windybrow, and of course the theatre. Just touching base as they build up to that 50th anniversary that's coming up in 2026. So this year, I'm sure it's going to be some incredible programming that's coming out from all the spaces. And maybe let's talk about what the year ahead might look like in terms of the build-up.
Yeah, so currently I'm really pleased to say that we have all 3 theatres programmed at the moment. We currently have The Life and Times of Michael Kay, which is a brilliant production that was made by the Baxter Theatre and is directed by Laura Foote, with the involvement of Handspring Puppet Company, who are well known from the work that they've done on Warhorse and so on. And it's So that's the J.M. Coetzee novel that's been adapted, and that's been a really great success this last 2.5 weeks, and it finishes this week on Sunday. Sunday's almost sold out, but there are tickets left for tonight, and there's a double show tomorrow at 3 and 7, and then on Sunday, the last show's at 3, and as I say, there are a few tickets left for Sunday, but Friday and Saturday, there are a handful. We also have Pieces of Me on at the moment, which is a piece that also brings us full circle. So Bo Peterson is an actress who worked with the founding member of the Market Theatre and first artistic director Barney Simon, and she's now performing in the Barney Simon her actual life story of discovering that her father, who had passed as a white man during apartheid but had been classified as a colored man, but had hidden that throughout her life.
Yes.
And when she was 19, she discovered this information that actually she had a whole nother part of her family and her identity that had been hidden away from her. So she tells that very personal story in a very moving account. So she's in the Barney Simon Theatre at the moment. That opened last night. We're about to go into a period of acknowledging the 10 years since the Fees Must Fall and Roads Must Fall protests. So we open tonight with The Fall, which is a brilliant production that really explores the students' perspective of the Roads Must Fall movement and decolonizing education, and reflects on what that means for us today. And then next month we have a sort of counterpoint position, which is a new play by Mike van Kraan called The Good White, which is very much the academics' take on what it means to have spent a whole legacy fighting for non-racialism and be politically active, but then be challenged by students under the decolonization protest. So there's a whole series of really wonderful things. There's festivals coming up later in the year. We last year we started the Kazakamba Pan-African Festival, so that will be back with us in September. We have dance in the form of Jamba, which is a Durban-based festival that's been going for many years. And we now partner with them on a dance program that also happens in September. And then we're really leaning into next year a number of international programs that we'll start to announce in the coming weeks. So it's a really full program on top of everything that we do at the lab, which is training 34 students every day, along with weekend classes that happen. What the photo workshop is doing, which is a number of exhibitions and partnerships. We'll have a strong presence at the National Arts Festival with an exhibition from them. Last night, the Standard Bank Young Artists were announced. We have two Standard Bank Young Artists work with Calvin Rakladi, who will be directing a piece called Breakfast with Mugabe, and Asanda Ruda, the dancer from Soweto, who was announced last night as the Standard Bank Young Artist for Dance, with us. So it's a really full and substantial program, and if anyone wants to look at the full program, they can go onto our website. There's a banner where you can click on our full program that has already been announced for the rest of the year and get a sense of the full scope of work that we do across the whole foundation.
Absolutely. And I personally, on a personal note for my team and I think we're quite happy to also say, if anybody wants to hear firsthand from a lot of the creatives that Greg mentions were part of the 2025 calendar, you can just mosey on over to our podcast and see some of our stages, pages, screens, interviews, having spoken to quite a few of them in the last couple of weeks. Your play development program, talk to us about that as well, because you're expanding that this year.
Yeah, so it's an initiative that I am very passionate about, and that was one of the first things I did when I came into the role, was to create a series of different play development program opportunities. So at the moment we have call out to artists and writers to either join us as an associate playwright. We're going to be selecting 12 associate playwrights who will go through a process with me and then with other mentors over a 6-month period. So there's a call out around that in the hope that they deliver first drafts of new plays. We also have a call out for anyone who's sitting on a play that's never been produced and wants to send it to us to read, where we'll send it out to readers. It can be in any of the official South African languages, and we have a really experienced group of readers who can assess work in any of the official languages. We have a call out at the moment to designers, particularly set, lighting, stage designers, who can work with us, so that because we have a small pool of really brilliant designers that work with us regularly, but we would like to broaden that. So there's a call out for that. So again, in the booklet that is on our website, or if you go onto our landing page, markettheatre.co.za, at the very bottom of the landing page, there are a series of call outs for artists that help us really put a spotlight on developing new work and finding the next wave of new South African plays that are going to be on our stage in a year or 2 years' time.
Yeah. A very exciting year ahead. Indeed, it sounds like it, Greg. And thank you so much for always indulging us. That was Greg Holman, who's the Artistic Director of the Market Theatre Foundation. And as you can hear, all those spaces being activated to their most fullest capacity for the year ahead as they build up to that 50th anniversary in 2026. And no doubt we are going to celebrate it in spectacular, true Market Theatre Foundation style. It's just a few moments before the top of the hour, but basically our time together has come to an end. Ashraf is standing by with his team to bring you the National Pulse. And I'm sure, as always, they are packing all the pertinent issues of the day. It's hard to keep up with everything that's going on, especially from a geopolitical perspective. You blink and then tariffs are suspended, and then you blink again and China is saying that they will not back down. But yes, those conversations continue to go. Did I just hear over the last news bulletin on SABC News that the proposed, or rather the anticipated petrol price decrease, there's some issue of contention whether or not it will be coming our way? Or maybe I misheard. I could have misheard. We're just looking for relief anyway. So if there's the slightest bit of hint that our relief is going to be suspended for whatever reason, but because we'll take our relief anywhere we can get it as South Africans at this particular point in time. That is it from us. Have an incredible weekend. I know a lot of you guys are going to be traveling this weekend. A lot of people already planning ahead for the upcoming long weekends that are coming up from next week. So if you are planning on traveling, especially if you are planning on hitting the roads, just please be careful. We had this conversation last week. Please be mindful of everybody on the road and exercise some caution for yourself and fellow drivers. We want to see you back here again on Monday. And if you're going somewhere that's noteworthy and you want to take us along, we're also on social media. At SAFM Radio is where you can find us on all our social media platforms, and of course at Bridget Masinga. Inshallah, God willing, we get to do it again.
Thank you, Bridget. Top stories at 3. Weaker rand risks fuel price cuts in May, and government to create social capital to fight poverty and hunger. For SAFM News, I am Lambana, and a very good afternoon. Analysts have warned that the current rand weakness could cancel out potential fuel price cuts in May. According to unaudited mid-month fuel price data from the Central Energy Fund, both grades of petrol could decrease by between 9 and 13.5 cents. This while diesel prices are set for a larger reduction of between 34 and 36 cents per litre, with illuminating paraffin possibly lowered by 26 cents. A likely drop in demand driven by the trade war between the U.S. and China saw Brent crude fall back to $63 per barrel levels. Chief Investment Officer at Magwe Fund Managers, Bridget Masinga, says further weakness in the local unit could change the outlook.
Because now the rand is just weakened, and as we're talking at fuel prices now at $63 a barrel, and looking at what the rand fleeting with almost 20 to the dollar, that might be a problem going forward, because we're a net importer, and as a net importer, if oil prices maybe go down by 2% as an example, but unfortunately say your rent weakens by 4 or 5%, then it's a zero-sum game.
Government says it is establishing initiatives of